It is a less than picture-perfect day for baseball here at the Almond campus, but any day there is no precipitation is a good day to play baseball here in Northern Illinois. Welcome in, everybody. Nick Palazzolo with you for a conference matchup between Lake Zurich and Warren. Blue Devils dropped Game 1 at Lake Zurich yesterday by a score of 4-3. Adam Behrens went 4 innings, giving up all 4 runs, only 3 of them earned. And the Lake Zurich Bears threw their ace, Lucas Foley. Foley rolls out of bed with about 10 strikeouts. He punched out 10 Blue Devils through 5 innings. He is going to Valparaiso. Blue Devils look to rebound today against Lake Zurich. Let's get you starting lineups for the Lake Zurich Bears. It'll be Kazimar, Conrad, Fleeka, Foley, DeCanio, O'Donnell, Bajerski, Shell, and Piggott due up. Today's starting pitcher for the Blue Devils is Landon Thieren. Thieren is getting his first start of the season. All of his appearances so far have come primarily out of the bullpen. 6 appearances. He's 2-2 in 12 innings pitched with a 2.92 ERA, which is a team best. Throws about 18 pitches an inning. About 55% of his pitches are for strikes. It'll be interesting to see who follows Landon Thieren, because most of the time over the course of the last week to 10 days, the Blue Devils have not really found any answers out of that Blue Devil bullpen. They've tried pretty much everybody. Interesting to see who follows Thieren as he gets ready to take the mound. The Blue Devils will line up defensively. A little change from the regular starting lineup. It'll be Beardman, Badgley, and Gonzalez left to right in the outfield. Jaquez, Shills, Font, and Sam Schmidt getting the rare start at first base today. Veteran catcher and senior Jake Hall doing the catching for Landon Thieren. Lake Zurich, 4-0 in conference play. I believe they are the only team that is undefeated in a conference that is seemingly wide open so far. Coming into the season, you thought it was potentially Mundeleins to lose, and so far with some extracurricular activities, we will call them, has led to the Mustangs dropping a handful of games with potential reorganization of their team due to some sexual misconduct and hazing allegations that were brought up last week. So with that, the whole conference is open. Lake Zurich, Libertyville, Warren, Stevenson, all right in the mix for conference so far. And it'll be interesting to see how the next month or so in conference play starts off, because, like I said, it has been relatively open so far here in the early going. We're just about underway for baseball as Jake Hall just threw down to second base, and we are just about underway. Ken Busey is calling balls and strikes today. The base umpire is Brendan Kick. Both veteran umpires, as Landon works primarily out of the stretch. There's a fastball in there for a called strike. Very windy day here at the Almond campus. Wind blowing about 20 miles an hour in from right center field, as Thieren delivers an inside fastball that Kazmarek is just able to check swing that one, though. Roll foul to an 0-2 count. Overcast skies under the threat of a potential shower, potentially in the Midwest. You never know. One day it could be 82 degrees like Saturday. The next day it could be 32 degrees and snowing, so you never know what you're going to get. The 0-2 is a curveball, flied high and deep into left field. Beardman tracking over near the wall, and he will make the catch. So Kazmarek is retired.
Number 9, Ryan Conrad.
So 3 quick pitches for 1 out for Theron. Be interesting to see how far Theron goes in this game, especially working primarily out of the pen. Personally, I wouldn't expect anything more than about 70, 75 pitches because he hasn't worked in a starting capacity so far this season. Blue Devils wearing their white home uniforms, gold Devils with blue outlines and blue numbers with gold on the sleeves with white baseball pants. The 1-0 to the batter, Conrad, misses outside to bring the count to 2 balls and no strikes. Lake Zurich wearing blue uniforms with white pants and black sleeves, white numbers with white font of bears striped across the chest as Theron delivers a fastball that missed inside apparently. Jake Hall thought that was definitely good enough to be a strike. So the 3-0 delivery from Theron to Conrad is in there for a called strike. Theron will try to battle his way all the way back from a 3-0 deficit. The 3-1, Theron delivers, and that is ball 4, which misses on the inner third. Another pitch that Hall thought he definitely had. So Conrad is aboard. Fleeka, the shortstop, steps in. Fleeka is going to University of Illinois at Chicago, UIC, to play baseball. Some Blue Devil fans recognize that school because that's where Kendall Lyons is playing currently. UIC apparently is undefeated against the Big Ten so far in collegiate play, going 4-0 as Fleeka takes a fastball in there for a called strike. Theron delivers the 0-1 downstairs. That'll bring the count to 1 ball and 1 strike. Fleeka homered here last year, my first ever home run call as a broadcaster. I was a little annoyed it wasn't for the home team, but my first one nonetheless as Theron delivers a fastball right on the outer third for a called strike. So 1-2 the count. Theron to Fleeka. Conrad, the third baseman, takes about a 6-foot lead off of first base. A curveball hung up into center field, short center field. That ball will get down as they will throw on to second, and that'll be a force play with the wind blowing in from center, right center. Badgley, Font, and Gonzalez were all over in short right center field, and the ball just seemingly dropped. It looks like Gonzalez was taking charge, but that wind, it looked like that ball was going right to Badgley in center, but the wind just took that one and almost put it back into the infield. So that'll go a fielder's choice, I think 4-6 for the putout. So Fleeka's aboard with 2 away as the batter Foley steps in. Foley, I mentioned in the open, is a Valparaiso commit to play baseball. Basically rolls out of bed and punches out 10 as he skies 1, and that'll get out of play just over the Blue Devil dugout. Definitely not the kind of conditions you would like to play outfield today. Wind blowing very hard in from center to right center. Every fly ball will definitely be a challenge as Theron works out of the stretch. Sets at the belt, slide steps as Foley lines one in the air. This will get down into left center. Fleeka, as Badgley has trouble bobbling it, so Foley will scamper into second, and Fleeka will head towards third. So the Bears are threatening second and third with 2 outs. That'll likely go as a single with Badgley potentially being charged with an error as he bobbled that one, allowing the runners to advance an extra 90 feet. So 2 outs, runners at second and third for the batter DeCanio as he grounds one to the right side. It is Theron to throw over to Schmidt. He is safe, but the Blue Devils, nobody was over there covering first base. It was a ground ball to the right side of the infield. Theron was over. Him and Schmidt both charged, but Font didn't get over there in time, so a little confusion. There was nobody on base. So 2 runs come in to score because of a defensive snafu. That's one of those where Schmidt and Theron just have to take, one of them needs to take charge and the other one needs to get over to the bag. So a costly misplay defensively as the Bears go out to a 2-0 lead, as there's a ground ball to the third baseman Jaquez. He will throw on to first. That'll go 5-3 for the third out, as the Bears score twice because of a defensive snafu for the Blue Devils. They'll go to work in the bottom half for the first inning. Down 2. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils chasing here early. Down 2-0. Blue Devils will line up like this. Badgley, Font, and Shills, the first 3 men due up, followed by Larson, Beardman, and Jaquez in the middle. Schmidt, Hall, and Gonzalez to round out the order. Kasmerick, Foley, and DeCanio are left to right in the outfield. Conrad, Fleeka, Bajurski, and Shell third to first across the infield. O'Donnell doing the catching for Piggott, the pitcher. Jackson Piggott fires a fastball, swung on and missed for a strike. Piggott is the son of Fremd baseball coach Chris Piggott, as he is also the nephew of Greg Piggott, who some of you might remember is a former Warren freshman baseball coach. Him and his wife both teach at the Old Plain campus. So no balls and 2 strikes to Badgley, as Badgley goes down swinging on the elevated heater. Badgley has started out the year on a heater, but has definitely cooled off over the last week. Font moving up into that 2 spot. If you remember, Beardman has anchored that spot a majority of the season. Font started there yesterday, was 1 for 2 with a double as he skies one in the air to center field, and that'll be caught by Foley. So 4 quick pitches for 2 outs for Tony Font. Definitely Blue Devils have lost the momentum. This game is a game of ebbs and flows as Shill steps in, who is by far their clutchest and biggest power threat, as he almost wears a fastball in on the inner third rather. Shill's wearing the royal blue sweatshirt under his white and gold uniform, as Piggott delivers the 1-0 and Shills has a hack at it to even things up at 1-1. Definitely more people in attendance than I was expecting. About 30 or so brave souls here at the Almond campus as the 1-1 delivery is skied foul over the third baseline. It'll be interesting to see how this game shakes out. Blue Devils have not played their best baseball as of late, as the 1-2 from Piggott is a fastball on the outer third for a called strike 3. So the Blue Devils go down in order 1, 2, 3. We'll go to the second inning. This is the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back, top half of the second inning. Blue Devils chasing 2 after a very bad defensive effort in the first inning caused 2 runs to come in to score on an infield single. Yes, you heard me correctly. Theron still working as the pitch to Luke Bajerski misses inside. It'll be 7-8-9 due up for the Bears. Bajerski, Shell, and the pitcher Piggott due up. The 1-0 delivery is a fastball on the outer third in there for a called strike. That wind is definitely picked up over about the last half hour or so. The 1-1 delivery from Theron is lined into right field. Gonzalez charges, and he almost tried to take a shot at the runner Bajerski at first base, but couldn't secure the ball. Tried to throw before he even had the ball. So that'll go as an infield hit as Shell steps in. Shell squares the bunt, backdoor curveball, back pick down to first. He's not there. There's a rundown for Bajerski in between first and second. Schmidt will chase him towards second. The play, the tag, he is out! I'm not even going to try to score that one, but it's at least a 2-3-6, 3-6 put out, I think. Now if I can only remember what I just said to put that in my scorebook. So Bajerski is picked off, a big first out as Shell took the elevated slider, pulled back on the bunt. Or did he? Don't know if that was a called strike, as there's a front door curveball in there for a strike. So apparently they called it a strike on the first pitch potentially. So 0-2 is the count. Theron to the first baseman Shell. Check swing slider. Did he go? Yes, he did. Hall will fire to first base to complete the strikeout. 2-3.
Now batting the pitcher, number 1.
So after the leadoff single, Theron able to gather 1 out via a strikeout and 1 out on a pickoff by the catcher Jake Hall. And in steps the pitcher Piggott. Piggott only 15 at-bats to his name, batting 67.067. He's 2 for 15 with an RBI. On base percentage of .263 as Theron delivers a fastball upstairs for ball 1. The 1-0 delivery from Theron is swung on and missed, and that'll get on out of play to bring the count to 1-1. Definitely not the kind of baseball attire fans really would like to bring to the game. Lots of winter jackets and blankets with winter hats and even gloves. The 1-1 delivery to Theron misses inside. 2-1 is the count. I've seen a couple high schoolers in shorts. As somebody who wears shorts year-round, I love that people are wearing shorts. As Theron delivers a fastball with a half-hearted swing by Piggott. That'll bring the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes, and Theron's 1 pitch away from sending this down to the bottom half of the second inning. As the 2-2 slider misses downstairs, the count will run full. So 3-2 the count to the 9-hitter Piggott, with Kaczmarek waiting on deck. The 3-2 delivery from Theron is a fastball that misses upstairs. So Piggott is aboard via the walk. Potentially have a courtesy runner at first base. We will not. So Piggott, they're going to use Piggott's wheels, as Piggott has stolen 2 bases in only 7 games played. As Kaczmarek steps in, flied out to the left fielder Beardman last inning. So with 2 outs away, Theron working out of the stretch as he misses inside. That it didn't look like that hit him from my vantage point up here in the Don Howe press box, but plate umpire Ken Busey said it did. Hall seems surprised, but nonetheless, Kaczmarek reaches by a hit by pitch, and Piggott moves into second for the batter Conrad. He walked and was out on the fielder's choice in the first inning. And his first delivery is skied high in the air to center field. Badgley tracking over into right center field, and he will make the one-handed catch. So Bears put on a couple base runners, but Theron able to escape. They're still chasing 2. We'll go to the bottom half of the second. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Elmond Road campus. Nick Palazzolo with you. Blue Devils chasing a pair here in the bottom half of the second inning. Larson, Beardman, and Jaquez due up. Larson got the start at first base yesterday, went over, as Piggott delivers a fastball in there, apparently for a called strike. Piggott, interesting wind-up. Definitely starts in a typical wind-up, but then is almost like a catapult throwing from the 12 o'clock arm slot as Larson swings on a slider, and that'll bring the count to 0-2. pitcher's always throwing out of that 12 o'clock arm slider, the hardest to pick up because every elevated pitch is not actually elevated just because of the plane, as Larson takes an elevated fastball upstairs for 1-2. So 1-2 the count. Piggott to the batter. Larson is a curveball grounded past a diving Conrad, and that'll go into the corner. Larson around first, and he will head towards second. And Larson is in there with a lead-off double. As Beardman will step in.
Number 17, Thomas Beardman.
Good job by Larson, just kind of staying right on that slider, especially because Piggott throws out of that 12 o'clock arm slot. Just tried to hit the top of the baseball and was able to ground it past a backhanding, diving Conrad at third base. So Larson, the runner on second base, the first baseman Shell playing in, expecting a bunt as Beardman takes a first pitch curveball in there for a strike. And now the catcher O'Donnell will come out and meet with Piggott on the mound. Definitely a situation where they're trying to go over signs with a runner on second base. Usually you'd want to try to do that at least in the dugout or in your bullpen because you want to try to work that into your bullpen as you're getting loose, but they have not, as time was called, as Beardman takes another curveball in there for a strike. So Beardman down quickly in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. As the 0-2 delivery from Piggott to Beardman misses outside, 1-2. Beardman batting .279 with a .407 OBP. He's looking for his 13th hit and 15th RBI in this ball game. The 1-2 delivery from Piggott is a slider. High chopper up towards the middle. It'll get off Piggott's glove and deflect towards third base as everybody will be safe. Beardman aboard after reaching on the lumberjack-style high chopper on the infield. Piggott tried to go over the back of the mound to field that, but always the toughest play as a pitcher is that high chopper or the one directly at you, because you just the self-defense reaction in you definitely want to try to protect yourself, but most of the time you end up screwing your infielders by putting a little English on a ball that was going right to them. As Jaquez steps in and takes a ball, as there's a pickoff move to first and a good jump by Shell to save that one from going up along the fence. So Larson's the runner on third, Beardman the runner on first, Jaquez ahead in the count early, 1 ball and no strikes as Piggott delivers a fastball on the outer third at the belt for a called strike. Jaquez hitting .278. 1 point down from Beardman coming into today's ball game as there's a curveball just low for a ball. Piggott wearing a black compression sleeve of some sort on his right throwing arm as another pickoff to Beardman at first base is not in time. Piggott definitely interesting, working in a very closed fashion. His left foot is about 8 inches in front of his right foot, which is on the pitcher's plate, as he throws over to Beardman. Again, if this was MLB rules, that would be a balk because of his 2 prior disengagements. As that ball is outside for apparently ball 4.
Now batting the first baseman, number 5, Sam Schmidt.
Apparently that was ball 4, but now the umpire is going to call him back because it happens where, sometimes you misclick. So the count will actually be 3 balls and a strike to the batter Jaquez. Once I knew it was 3 balls and Jaquez started going. So now I'm confused, and the Lake Zurich manager, Scott DiCaprio, is going to come up and have a conversation with the plate umpire. But Beardman went to second nonetheless on the ball that went in and out of O'Donnell's glove. So Blue Devils threatening second and third here with nobody away. Here in the bottom half of the second inning, Blue Devils have had some life injected into their dugout as the Blue Devils will play corners. They're going to bring everybody in as there's a, looks like maybe a cutter or a slider on the outer third. Good pitch, freezing Jaquez on 3-1. That'll bring the count full. So Bears bringing their infield all the way in as Jaquez reaches via the walk.
Now batting the first baseman.
So the bases will be loaded for Schmidt. Schmidt pinch hit for the batter Clark in yesterday's contest and doubled as DiCaprio decides to have a mound visit. As DiCaprio will bring the whole infield in towards the mound. Doesn't necessarily seem like a conversation with DiCaprio and his pitcher. He seems to be talking to everybody in that huddle as fist bumps are going all the way around. So that'll conclude that mound visit. So Schmidt steps in with the bases loaded. Schmidt hitting .286 on the season. 5 RBIs. He is 8 of 28. Definitely a situation where you're just trying to put the ball in play. Bears will play corners in. Middle's playing for 2 up the middle as Piggott delivers a fastball in there for a called strike. Shell is playing in on the grass at first base. Conrad playing just right on that lip where the dirt meets the grass at third base, as there is a curveball that just misses apparently, so that'll bring the count to 1-1 as the catcher Jake Hall waits on deck as Clay Kovac and Keith Stocker meet Coach Smo in the third base coach's box and have a little bit of a coaching conference. So the count will be 2 balls and 1 strike. Piggott to Schmidt as the 2-1 misses downstairs, and the count will run 3-1 as the wind has definitely picked up. Now it is seemingly blowing out of left center instead of blowing in out of right and right center. So the 3-1 delivery is in there for a called strike, so that'll be a full count. Schmidt thought he had ball 4, almost threw his bat, but did not. The count is full as Schmidt asks for timeout, and that'll be granted. So the 3-2 from Piggott in a big spot here with Schmidt up, and the 3-2 misses downstairs, ball 4. Blue Devils cut the lead in half. Sam Schmidt will get the RBI walk as Larson comes in to score. Beardman and Jaquez will move up the 90 feet as the bases are still loaded here in the second with nobody away as Hall steps in. As there's that fastball cutter-ish pitch on the outer third for a called strike. Hall, only 19 plate appearances, 2 hits so far, has definitely seen a decrease in playing time to the other catcher on the team, Beck Keldberg, as Hall draws the start today. The count is 1-1 as Piggott delivers a curveball in there for strike 2. Hall just seemingly just needs to choke up and put the ball in play. Doesn't really choke up as he asks for time. Hall rocking the no long sleeves, as a few players on both teams have. You always have a couple of players rocking with the no sleeves, as the 1-2 delivery from Piggott misses badly outside to bring the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bears' defensive alignment has not changed. Clem in on the grass at first base, Conrad on the lip. The 2-2 to Hall is a check swing curveball in the dirt. He did not go, as the catcher O'Donnell trying to appeal to the base umpire, but the home plate umpire is not having it, as they will finally appeal as Hall did not swing. So the count is now full, goes from 1-2 to 3-2, and a big pitch here for Piggott as the 3-2 is a fastball swung on and missed by Hall. He will go down swinging. Definitely a swing Hall would like to have bat, an elevated fastball at about the clavicle. That would have definitely been ball 4. So now Gonzalez steps in. Gonzalez looking for his 5th RBI on the season, as he takes a fastball at the belt for a called strike. Blue Devils definitely need to start swinging the bats and being aggressive with the runners in scoring possession, but not overly aggressive, as there is a fastball that misses upstairs to bring the count to 1-1 strike. Definitely getting darker than when I arrived at about 3 o'clock here at the Allman campus, as the 1-1 delivery misses upstairs again, 2-1. Manager for the Bears, Scott DiCaprio, is wondering where some of those pitches are missing, as Gonzalez skies one foul, and that'll get out of play just over the press box. So the count's even at 2-2 strikes. Blue Devils need to find a way to get this to the top of the order so they don't waste a grand opportunity early here in the second, as the 2-2 is grounded to the right side. Clem fields and throws to Shell fields to the catcher, O'Donnell. So that'll go a fielder's choice, 1-3, and Beardman is forced out at the plate. So 2 outs, the base is still loaded as Badgley steps in. If Shell is playing his regular position, that's definitely probably just a ground out, as Piggott, working quickly, fires a curveball outside, and that'll miss. So 2 away here in the second inning, as the 1-0 delivery misses inside, as Lake Zurich definitely feels like they're getting squeezed. Blue Devils have had the bases loaded with nobody outside and have only scored 1 run, as Badgley doesn't do himself a favor right there and swings at a 2-0 heater. Badgley, the 7th Blue Devil to come to the plate here, as the 2-1 delivery is skied into the air, into right field. In on it is DeCanio, and he will make the catch. The Blue Devils threaten multiple times and have had multiple opportunities to push across the tying run, but can't. We'll go to the 3rd inning. Blue Devils trail by a run here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back here to the Almond Road campus, as the Blue Devils were able to scavenge a run, but definitely missed an opportunity in the bottom half of the second to score more than one, as Theron is still working on for his third inning of work in his first start of the season. Fleeka, Foley, and DeCanio due up for the Bears, as Theron delivers a fastball in there to Fleeka. Fleeka batting .375 with 2 extra base hits. Bears don't hit for a lot of power, but Fleeka does have one of their 2 home runs, as Theron throws a good downward slider that Fleeka is just able to spoil and foul off. So the count will go to no balls and 2 strikes. As Theron, definitely a situation where you don't want to throw anything in the strike zone. You want Fleeka to get himself out. That's the idea. As Theron throws a dirt ball slider. Definitely another situation, 1-2. You don't want to give a good hitter like Fleeka anything to hit. The 1-2 pitch from Theron is a fastball swung on and missed, strike 3. Fleeka goes down swinging on the elevated heater.
Next up,
Foley.
17. Oh. Next up, our center fielder, Lucas Foley.
As Foley steps in. Foley playing center field today after pitching in yesterday's contest, as there is a backdoor slider that doesn't exactly make it all the way to the back door, so that'll be a ball. Definitely a disappointing weather week after the glorious weather we had last week, as there's a slider grounded to the first base side, and that ball will get foul. Theron was over as Schmidt held the bag. Definitely gave the Blue Devil dugout a little cause for concern after what happened in the first inning, which right now is the difference in the ball game, as DeCanio was reached on an infield single to the pitcher, and 2 runs came in to score, as the 1-1 to Foley misses downstairs for a count of 2-1. Foley batting .304. As I mentioned, he also rocks a .194 earned run average, as there's a curveball grounded to the second baseman Font. He will gather and throw on to first. That'll go 4-3.
Number 8, George DeCanio.
So 2 quick outs here in the third inning. Landon Theron definitely impressed with what I have seen early, being able to battle around a defensive snafu in the first inning, causing 2 runs to score, as the batter DeCanio skies one and flies into the solar farm, as the glass-breaking sound effect has finally been played and found in the soundboard. And the 0-1 to DeCanio is an elevated heater, swung on and missed for a strike. That'll bring the count to 0-2, as Theron looks to make quick work of the Bears here in the third inning. The 0-2 delivery, curveball that misses inside. Jake Hall he got up in his crouch and was almost halfway to the dugout by the time he realized that was not strike 3. It looked like a good pitch up here, but the home plate umpire disagreed. So the 2-strike delivery again is a curveball swung on and fouled off of the catcher Hall. So he's able to spoil a good slider there by Theron. Theron primarily fastball / slider curve repertoire has worked primarily out of the bullpen so far, as the 1-2 to DeCanio is a fastball. Tried to get him to chase, but does not, so that'll bring the count to 2-2. DeCanio batting a .167 in 22 plate appearances here on the young season, as the 2-2 delivery from the pitcher Theron The kick and the 2-2 is a curveball as DeCanio practically lays down on the ground to get out of the way of that one. So we go from 0-2 to 3-2 so far, a quality at bat by DeCanio, as Theron trying to put him away and have the Blue Devils go back to work offensively. The 3-2 from Theron. Fastball swung on and missed, strike 3. After a battle, Theron able to get DeCanio down via the strikeout. We'll go to the third inning as the Blue Devils trail down a run. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Elmwood Road campus. Blue Devils down a run. It'll be Font, Shills, and Larson due up here in the third inning, as the pitcher Piggott is still working, as Font is able to cue ball one into left field, and that'll get in there for a hit.
Next up, number 21.
As Font was able to look like he was so out in front of that off-speed pitch, it came off the end of the bat with a little cue ball spin. But Font will take it nonetheless. He's aboard with a base hit, as Shills, the biggest power threat on this Blue Devil team, steps in. As Shills has a high pop-up over to the left side. Could be trouble. Over is the shortstop, Fleeca, who loses his head in the process over near the third base line. And that will be a catch.
Up, number 28, your DH, Evan Larson.
So Shills is retired. Like I said, every fly ball is definitely going to be an adventure today. With the wind howling in from now left field. It was in from right field as Piggott checks on Font at first base. Wind has changed about 2 or 3 times so far, and we haven't even played 3 full innings of baseball yet. Overcast skies here at the Almond Road campus, as there is a curveball that misses downstairs for a ball, as the catcher O'Donnell once again wants to check on a check swing, but this home plate umpire is having none of it. So the count will go 1 ball and a strike. Larson doubled in his last plate appearance, as there is a curveball downstairs, 2-0. Larson is primarily seen in the Blue Devil lineup as the role he is playing today is the designated hitter. He is hitting for the pitcher Theron, as the 2-0 delivery misses outside, 3-0, and that'll put Larson in an automatic take situation. Larson hitting .261 on the season, but does have 4 extra base hits, as the 3-0 automatic take is taken in there for a strike, 3-1. So Larson steps out, asks for time. Time is granted. The 3-1 delivery is not as Piggott definitely trying to pick off Blue Devil base runners. At least the 5th or even the 6th pickoff attempt so far here in the early going. The 3-1 delivery to Larson is a fastball / cutter in there for a strike. Piggott seems to have pretty good command of that cutter. I'm just going to call it a cutter because that's what it looks like up here as another check on Font. And if I'm Font, I'm just getting annoyed. It's been it hasn't stolen a bag so far and has already been picked off 3 times as Larson takes the 3-2 delivery. That misses outside for a ball. So Larson aboard with a walk at final advance, and in steps Beardman, who singled his last time up, but then was forced out at the plate as the catcher O'Donnell makes a quick mound visit to kind of get Piggott's bearings back with him. So in steps Beardman. As that ball will get away. Final run towards third, and he will be safe. He gets in around the tag at third. The ball definitely beat Font by about 6 feet, but Font and Larson able to advance via the stolen base. So the 1-0 delivery is a curveball called strike. Interesting call as the third baseman, shortstop, and first baseman for the Bears are playing in as the second baseman. Bajerski is playing tightly to the runner Larson as Beardman takes a curveball in there for a strike. So Blue Devils threatening in back-to-back innings. The 1-2 delivery to Beardman is a good enough hack to just spoil that one. Piggott already threw 55 pitches here in the early going. 3 strikeouts, but 3 walks, which have really driven up the pitch count. Piggott looking for punch-out number 4. The 1-2 delivery to Beardman is another foul ball. That'll get over near the soccer field just beyond the first base dugout along the right side. Beardman putting up a good fight so far as now the Bears bring in all of their infield with 2 strikes as there's a curveball that misses outside. No swing from the plate umpire. The catcher O'Donnell goes to appeal it again, but once again the plate umpire having none of it on check swing appeals today. Already 3 of them he didn't want to give. It looked to me that Beardman went, but that'll bring the count to 2-2. The 2-2 delivery is a fastball that misses off the plate. A good work by Beardman to go 3-2 here in a big spot. Font the runner on third, Larson the runner on second as the plate umpire calls time. Not really sure why he's taken off his hat and his mask. Looks at the Lake Zurich dugout and then goes back and we'll put the ball in play. So essentially just another timeout. The 3-2 from Piggott to Beardman is a fastball swung on and missed as Beardman was late on it.
And next up, number 16, Albert Hawkes.
So 2 outs, Blue Devils still threatening. Beardman didn't really stride there. He definitely had a helicopter approach on his swing. His lower half stayed put, but his upper body did all the movement. As Hawkes has a juicy hack at a fastball in there for a strike. Beardman, to me, definitely should have tried to hit the ball to right field, but he's looking to try to pull the fastball, and his swing mechanics looked off as Piggott delivers a curveball downstairs to even the count up at 1-1. Piggott looking to escape the jam. Runners at second and third with 1 out earlier in this inning. Now second and third with 2 outs after the strikeout of Beardman as the count runs to 2 balls and a strike as a fastball misses for a ball. Jaquez, the mainstay at third base, so far looking for his 7th RBI as he skies a curveball, and that'll get way out of play. That might have even made it into the soccer goal. The wind just kind of took that one and pushed it, so apparently we're out of baseballs. As it looks like the sun just over the western horizon is trying to come out a little bit. We've pretty much been in overcast and darker skies from the get-go here at the Almond Road campus as the 2-2 from Piggott to Jaquez is a curveball, misses upstairs. So another full count. So 3-2 is the count, and that was Piggott's 64th delivery here in the early going. The 3-2 delivery misses upstairs, ball 4. Jaquez is aboard with a walk.
Number 5, your first baseman, Sam Schmidt.
So lots of traffic for the Blue Devils over the last 2 innings. As Scott DiCaprio, the Lake Zurich manager, just all he could do after that pitch was just put his head and his hat in his hands in disappointment. As Schmidt steps in a big spot as he fouls one down the first base line. Schmidt walked his last time up. As he is quickly in the hole, no balls and 1 strike. As the 0-1 delivery from Piggott is a curveball in there for a strike. Schmidt looking to just put the ball in play. Blue Devils so far have put a lot of runners on base, but haven't seemed to put the ball in play, forcing Lake Zurich to make a play. As Schmidt has a very half-hearted swing, and the Blue Devils threaten, but they do not score. We'll go to the 4th inning. Bears lead 2-1. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus where the wind has shifted once again, now blowing straight in from left field as the flags on the outfield fence are now wreaking havoc. It'll be 6, 7, and 8 due up for the Bears. O'Donnell, Bajerski, and Shell as Theron starts his 4th inning of work with a curveball in there for a strike. Blue Devils have at least stranded 6 base runners through 3 innings, have not really put the ball in play at all so far. When they threaten, that starts to add up over the course of a game. Just ask a White Sox fan. I'm pretty sure they stranded like 32 runners in like one game or something insane like that, as the catcher O'Donnell asks the plate umpire for time, and it is granted. So the 1-1 strike count to O'Donnell. Theoren about to throw pitch number 50 is a fastball lined into right field over is Gonzalez, and that'll get out of play and be foul. Manager for the Bears, Scott DiCaprio, seemed to have a lengthy conversation with his team in between half innings, and then a lengthy conversation with the plate umpire. The 1-2 strike count is swung on and missed, strike 3. Hall throws down to first to complete the strikeout, and O'Donnell punches out swinging. Theoren definitely has been very effective. Blue Devils pitching of late has not been the greatest so far. Definitely question marks in that bullpen so far here in the early going, especially as conference play has started, as there's a curveball missing inside. Especially the last 3 years, the Blue Devils will get off to about an 8-10 win to a 1-loss start in their first handfuls of games, and then once conference starts, they just kind of seem to, it looks like a very different team from the team that we first saw in our opener against Vernon Hills, as Bajirski check swings and he goes on a fastball. The 1-1 delivery is lined into right field over as the right fielder Gonzalez, and that'll get all the way to the wall. Gonzalez will bounce off the wall and get that ball in quickly, as Bajirski scampers into second base with a double.
Next up, number 18, Casey Shell.
And in steps Casey Shell, who singled his last time up. Just to finish my last thought, my senior year we started, I believe, 10-0. Couldn't win a regional. We ruined the streak of, I think it would have been a 6th consecutive regional championship for Warren. Last year, the Blue Devils, I believe, once again started 10-0, and then there was their slide. They won a regional last year, lost in the sectional semis to Fremd, as Shell takes ball 1. The 1-0 delivery is a front door breaker that misses 2-0. Top half of the 4th inning, Bears scored their 2 runs in the first inning after a defensive snafu on a ground ball just up the first base line, where Theoren and Schmidt just kind of were expecting the other person to either go get the bag or go get the baseball. And that led to 2 runs scoring as the count quickly runs to 3 balls and no strikes to the first baseman Shell, who struck out in his last appearance, as the 3-0 is a called strike, apparently. And that pitch got away from Hall, but he was able to retrieve it quickly. So the count is now 3 balls and 1 strike, with Bajirski the runner on second base. The 3-1 delivery from Theoren is a fastball, and that catches Shell right on the helmet, and he will throw his bat to the dugout and take first base. So regardless of if it hit him or not, he was going to reach anyway, as Coach Smothers comes up with the lineup card to ask the plate umpire a lineup card question. We had the situation last week against Stevenson where the Blue Devils caught the Patriots potentially batting out of order, as now the home plate umpire will chat with the Lake Zurich manager DiCaprio, and now the base umpire Brendan Kick will now join the conference. So both head coaches and both umpires are meeting on the third base line. Definitely the Blue Devils in their dugout saw something in the lineup that was a cause for concern. As an out is recorded as the batter Shell is being called out. So Shell is being called out, and I'm not sure why. Shell was supposed to be due up. This very confusing as I try to describe this for you at home, but maybe we could do it when we get a little bit more time, as there's now 2 outs with Bajerski, the runner, on second. So what happened last week against Stevenson is the Blue Devils caught the Patriots batter wearing another jersey number than opposed to what was on the lineup card, causing the umpires to wave off a 2-run homer. So I wonder what has happened right now, as DiCaprio calls time, and now he wants to have a conversation after 2 pitches to the 9-hitter Piggott. So now DiCaprio is now meeting with the plate umpire to have a question about the lineups. And so far, Warren, this is their second game where lineup cards have been in question so far. So to recap, Shell reached via a hit by pitch just a batter ago, but then was for some reason called out in a situation that had to do with the lineups, as now the base umpire Brendan Kick will come in and join the conference. And we have more lineup card questions, so until I can get some answers for you, we're going to step aside real quick, and we'll be back after we get this all figured out. You're listening to Blue Devil Baseball on the Blue Devil Radio Network. All right, so welcome back to the Almond Road campus. So now the batter Shell is being put back on first. So first he was called out. No, what is happening? So it looks like Shell thought he was going to be put back on first base. So he grabbed a helmet and went towards first base. I have no idea what is happening. There's a curveball that misses. That'll be 3 balls and a strike. So there is 2 outs after a potential violation of the lineup card, apparently, causing Shell to be called out. So the count goes 3 balls and 1 strike to Piggott, and there's ball 4 as that ball gets away from Hall on a spike fastball as the runner on second base, Bajerski, will head towards third.
Number 23, left fielder.
And postgame we'll be able to get some clarification from Coach Smothers, but very confusing situation unfolding right here at the Almond Road campus, where back-to-back weeks where we have had lineup card snafus, as Piggott is aboard via the walk. So something happened with Shell that on the Warren lineup card was not listed correctly, and because Shell K'd in his first at bat, they didn't call it out to the umpire as the batter Kazmarek takes a strike. Because he made an out in his first at bat, the Blue Devils weren't gonna question it, but because he reached in his second at bat, the Blue Devils brought the lineup card into question. So the count runs even to 1 ball and 1 strike, even as an umpire who does IHSA games and handles lineup cards. I am confused. As the batter, Kazmarek, skies one in the air into left center. Over is Badgley, and he will make the catch. So somehow we get 3 outs. I'm still not really sure how we got 3 outs, but we have 3 outs, and we're going to go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network.
Jake Hall.
Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils down a run here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Nick Palazzolo with you. Glad to have you with me. Right here as the Blue Devils try to salvage a season split with the Bears, as Piggott is on for his 4th inning of work and delivers a fastball in there for a called strike to the batter, Hall. Hall went down swinging with the bases loaded in the 2nd inning, as he has a healthy hack at that one and fouls away. As we take a look into the Bears bullpen, not the Chicago Bears, the Lake Zurich Bears, A.J. Foley, the brother of Lucas Foley, who pitched yesterday, is getting loose, as the 0-2 delivery to Hall misses upstairs for a ball. Piggott has thrown, that was just delivery number 70, so he is likely nearing the end of his day, as pitch number 71 misses downstairs. That'll bring the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. The sun has definitely tried to come out here at the Almond campus, but the wind has picked up as Hall skies one in the air to center field. Over is Foley into right center, and he will make the catch, and Hall will be retired.
Number 23, Jacob Gonzalez.
So in steps Gonzalez. Right field has been kind of a bit of an issue for the Blue Devils, kind of an outfield spot by committee, as Gonzalez gets the start today, as he almost wears a fastball at the ankle. We've seen Gonzalez, we've seen Schmidt, we've seen Bender out there in right field. Definitely a spot with some irregularity, as Gonzalez bounces out to the second baseman, Bajerski. Bajerski throws over to Shell. So 2 quick outs here in the 4th inning, as Gonzalez is put out 4-3. In steps Badgley, 0 for 2 today. He is 0 for 5 in his last 5 plate appearances. Continuing our very confusing lineup card thing from last inning, the plate umpire went over to talk to the Lake Zurich manager in between half innings as Badgley skies one high into the air into left center, and it'll be the left fielder Kazmarek. I'll finish that thought on the other side. We'll go to the fifth. Blue Devils down a run. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils down a run. It is 2-1 as Landon Theron is throwing the ball really well here today. Been very impressed in his first start of the season. As 2, 3, and 4 are due up for the Bears, it's Conrad, Fleeka, and Foley as Conrad files a curveball that'll get out of play. Want to give a shout out to Ron Carr checking in from San Antonio, Texas. Ron, we appreciate you checking out the broadcast. Make sure you subscribe to the Blue Devil Radio Network YouTube channel so anytime there is a broadcast, you get a notification sent right to your phone as Theron misfires a fastball in there to even things up at 1-1. Conrad is 0 for 1 with a walk and then was put out on a fielder's choice, but flew out to Badgley in the second inning as Theron misses again for 2 balls and 1 strike. The 2-1 delivery from Theron to Conrad is a fastball that misses off the plate apparently for a ball. Look just off the plate from my purview. As Theron, that was just Theron's 69th delivery, and pitch number 70 is a fastball in there for a called strike. So that'll run the count full with the shortstop Fleeka patiently waiting on deck. The 3-2 from Theron, fastball grounded to the shortstop. Shills charges, and that ball will scoot right under his glove into left field. Shills essentially charged a ball he didn't really need to charge, and when he went to break it down to get himself into a good fielding position, he just didn't touch the baseball. It's one of those shouldn't have been an in-betweener, but it was. And Shills just had to commit one way or another to a charge or not. So Conrad's aboard with on an E6 as that ball gets away from the catcher Hall, and Conrad will scamper into second base. So a potential costly error for the Blue Devils as Fleeka steps in. Fleeka looking for RBI, just number 6 on the season. As the 1-0 delivery is a fastball in the outer third for a called strike. Last half inning, the senior, Tommy Beardman, was throwing in the Blue Devil bullpen, so it looks like he'll be next. The 1-1 pitch from Thirin to Fleeka is outside for a ball. Jaquez and Sam Schmidt, the corners, playing in right on the infield cutouts at first and third base. As Font plays with the runner at second base, and Thirin delivers the 1-1. Grounded past the third base bag, and that is fair. Conrad around third, and he will score. And Fleeka into second base, but he is thrown out. What a good throw by the outfielder. Tommy Beardman guns down Fleeka at second base. But a run does come in to score, so that'll make it 3-1 here in the fifth. But a big out as Beardman is able to dispatch Fleeka at second base. So Bears able to add an insurance run here in the top half of the fifth inning. Only 5 hits to their name so far, as the batter Lucas Foley takes downstairs. That'll bring the count to 2 balls and a strike. All of the members of the Blue Devils are actually sitting on the bench underneath the 3 lovely heaters that have been installed in the Blue Devil dugout. As there is a fastball in there for a called strike. Foley did not like it. Bears manager Scott DiCaprio is taking a loose interpretation of that third base coaching box. Pretty sure at some point he's made it down to the home bullpen. He's kind of walked all up and down that third base foul line as the count runs to 3 balls and 1 strike. And the 3-1 delivery misses as Foley is aboard with a walk. So 1 out here in the 5th inning as DeCanio is now having a offensive conference with his coach DiCaprio, as I mentioned. As it looks like we're going to have a defensive sub, as Tommy Beardman looks like he's going to resume throwing in the bullpen, and Bender will take over his spot in left field.
Kyle Bender is now playing left field.
So Bender will take over in left field for Beardman, who will resume throwing in the Blue Devil bullpen as Landon Thirin is at 81 pitches, has thrown the ball very effectively, has not had much help from his defense, which has essentially been the story. Blue Devils have put up runs. Their pitching and defense has been disappointing at times. So in steps the batter DeCanio, who has struck out and singled in 2 plate appearances today. As the quick pitch is lined to center field, and that'll get down. That ball looked like it was going to go right at the shortstop shills, but because the wind is blowing so hard in from left field, that ball ended up in right center. About 8 to 12 feet of horizontal movement. So DeCanio is aboard with his second hit on the day, and Foley only able to advance to second base. In steps the catcher O'Donnell. as O'Donnell takes a curveball that just misses the strike zone and his left bicep. The only out of this inning came when Tommy Beardman gunned down Jonathan Fleek at second base, trying to stretch a single into a double, leading to a run scoring. As the 1-0 delivery is a fastball in there for a called strike. Theron definitely throwing a lot more pitches than I would have expected him to. Wasn't sure how stretched out he was coming into the ball game. Again, his first start of the season. All of his 6 appearances have come out of the bullpen. By far this team's best pitcher. As the count will go to 2 balls and 1 strike to the batter O'Donnell, who is 0 for 2 today. Grounded out to the third baseman Jaquez and punched out in the 4th inning. So the 2-1 delivery from Theron to the batter O'Donnell is a slider, and a healthy hack from O'Donnell. Tried to put that thing all the way into Kenosha County. But what O'Donnell doesn't realize is he would be hitting it right into the wind and it wouldn't reach that far. The 2-ball and 2-strike pitch is a curveball jam shot into right field, and that'll get down. Gonzalez fields it on a hop and gets that ball in very quickly. A 1-hop strike to the catcher Hall. And the batters only advance 90 feet. So the bases are loaded with only 1 away. So 3 straight base runners have reached via the walk and 2 via the hits. The exit velo on both hits combined were probably about, 75 miles an hour between the 2 of them. As bench coach Keith Stocker is making his way to the mound, and we will have a pitching change as Theron departs and Beardman comes on in a high leverage situation with the bases loaded and only 1 out here in the 5th inning. We'll step aside right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus, and we have ourselves a close ball game with the Bears threatening to blow this wide open. So Beardman enters the game for his 3rd appearance out of the bullpen, 15 2/3 to his name, a record of 1 win and no losses so far, with a 368 earned run average. Sam Schmidt goes from first base to left field, and Adam Behrens enters the game at first base. As we have the batter Bajerski stepping in. Bears have only had one out this inning, and it was because Fleeca was thrown out at second base. So one away, and the bases are loaded. Here in the fifth inning, as Beardman gets ready to deliver his first pitch to Bajerski, and that's a little bit of a floating changeup in there for a strike. Beardman worked out of the bullpen against a Stevenson. Or no, it was Deerfield he came out of the bullpen as he throws a fastball that misses below the knee for a ball. Beardman came out of the bullpen against Deerfield. Was not a pretty game if you were a Blue Devil member of that bullpen. Bullpen couldn't seem to buy themselves an out if they had the money for it. As the 1-1 delivery is in the dirt, and a good block by Hall. So the count is 2 balls and 1 strike. As Beardman delivers and misfires badly, 3-1, and the Blue Devils are in jeopardy of putting another base runner on and another run scoring. I mentioned earlier the Blue Devils stranded 5 or 6 runners in the second and third innings in a 1-run ball game. As there's a grounder up the middle, fielded on by Beardman, throws to the plate and down to first base in time. A 1-2-3 double play as Beardman comes in and retires the threat. We'll go to the bottom half of the fifth inning. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils down a pair as the starting pitcher Jackson Piggott, his day is over. As he goes 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 5 punch-outs, 76 pitches. So A.J. Foley, the brother of Lucas Foley, he comes in to pitch. Piggott is now out of the game as we have more lineup cards, and God, the lineup cards are getting a workout. I was working a varsity ball game last night over in the Northern Lake County Conference, And the only lineup card changes I had to make or notate was courtesy runners. It was like the greatest day if you're a varsity plate umpire. There was no charge conferences and no lineup card snafus as AJ Foley delivers downstairs to the batter Tony Font for a ball. So it is Font, Shills, and Larson, as we have a burglar alarm of a car somewhere in the Allman campus parking lot going off, as Font skies one in the air deep into left center field, and that'll be caught by the fielder Kazmarek. So Font is retired, F7 for the first out. The second and third innings of this ball game, certainly revisionist history will tell you that the Blue Devils really wish they could have pushed across at least one to tie the ball game at 2, but they haven't been able to do much offensively, only 2 hits. As that car alarm is still blaring here at the Allman campus, as 1 ball and no strikes to Shills. And that is taken downstairs for 2 balls and no strikes. Pitcher Foley, a 4.20 ERA, as he delivers a fastball in there for a called strike. Only an inning and 2/3, 2 hits and a run given up. So very limited sample size for the reliever. As there is a sinker, it looks like, that misses downstairs. Good arm side movement from Foley as the count runs to 3 balls and 1 strike. As the 3-1 delivery misses downstairs, ball 4, as Shills is aboard now with base on balls.
Number 28, Evan Larson.
So now Larson will step in after... So Larson will step in. He doubled in the second inning and walked in the third, as there's a fastball in the outer third for a called strike. As the 0-1 delivery misses inside, to even the count up at 1 ball and 1 strike. Shills has been caught stealing 3 times, including once yesterday. Blue Devils have not had many base runners, and when they have, they've played it more station to station. Haven't had the opportunity to to get past the table of contents of Coach Schmo's offensive playbook. As Larson spoils a 2-1 pitch over near the soccer field. So the count runs to 2 balls and 2 strikes here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. As the 2-2 delivery from Foley is a curveball, he tries to front door, and that misses up and in. As the count now runs full, as the wind looks like it has shifted once again. As the 3-2 misses downstairs, ball 4. So the first 2 men Foley has faced,
Number 17.
or correction, the last 2 men Foley has faced have walked. There is 1 away, and due to Tony Font popping up to the left fielder. So in steps the now pitcher Tommy Beardman. He was 0 for 2 yesterday, but 1 for 2 here today. Good opportunity to help himself as the wind blows hard in from left field, as it is getting darker right here at the Allman Road campus. The 0-0 delivery is a fastball in there for a called strike. Tommy Beardman definitely bailed on that one just a little bit too early. That was a good pitch on the inner third. As Beardman grounds one to the shortstop, Fleeka, that's in and out of his glove. He was racing right at Schills, who is going second to third. So now the bases are loaded. I'm not sure if Fleeka, if he were to grab that one, if he would have had a play at Beardman. But now Jaquez steps in with the bases loaded and only one away. And a good chance to do some damage right here and right now. The 0-0 delivery from Foley is in there for a called strike. Jaquez just needs to see a fastball middle and he can drive. That is his wheelhouse. But when he gets into a slump, he starts to take the fastball. But he is maybe one of the better fastball hitters on this team as he fouls the fastball off of himself. So now the count is no balls and 2 strikes to the batter, Jaquez. Bases are loaded, corners playing in, wind is blowing hard in from left field. Foley gets his sign and now steps off the rubber to gather himself. There are 2 Bears playing catch behind the Lake Zurich dugout. Nobody throwing in the Bear bullpen. The 0-2 delivery to Jaquez misses upstairs for a ball. Definitely something Jaquez should just try to line right back up the middle on a fastball. Don't need to try to pull it. Just try to think middle backside. As there is a elevated curveball that misses upstairs. The count runs even now to 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2 from Foley is a fastball swung on and missed, strike 3. So now Jaquez goes down on strikes.
Number 5, Sam Schmidt.
So that's the second out of the inning. Jaquez tried to pull, like I said, in that situation, Jaquez definitely was trying to pull the fastball. If he just had the offensive approach of just trying to think on the middle or the backside. As Schmidt grounds one to the second baseman, Bajerski, he throws on to second. Fleeka is there for the force out, and the Blue Devils load the bases with only 1 out, but once again can't score. They've had multiple opportunities to do so. The score is 3-1. We'll go to the 6th inning. You're listening to the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils trail by a pair. Top half of the 6th inning. Tommy Beardman was able to escape a bases-loaded jam in the 5th inning, taking over for Landon Theron, today's starting pitcher, as it'll be Shell, Piggott, and Kazimark due up. Shell in his last at-bat, boy was that a circus, as he takes a healthy hack at an elevated fastball. A circus is the only way I can put it. He reached via a hit by pitch and then was called out because Clint Smothers raised some question with the lineup card as Shell flies one in the air to center field over as Badgley. He will make the catch, and there will be one away.
Number 20, A.J. Foley.
So in steps A.J. Foley for the first time today. So Pigot's day is over. So Foley took over for the starting pitcher Pigot in the fifth inning. Foley has not had an at-bat. Not had an official at-bat so far. Or correct that, he is 0 for 3, it looks like. Nope, my bad. He's hitting .429. I can't read the small stat sheet for Max Preps. My apologies. As Foley is aboard, as he lines one into right field for a knock. So Foley is aboard for a hit.
Next up, number 23, Kazmarek.
As Kazmarek steps in for the fourth time today. So Foley now the runner on first. Beardman still working here in the top half of the sixth inning. It is getting dark. Unless the sixth inning goes by quickly, I could very well see a scenario as there's a back pick down to first to check on the runner. Foley not in time. Could definitely see a scenario where this game only goes 6 innings long due to darkness. The scoreboard, the burnt orange lights on the scoreboard is getting brighter than the sky, and that usually is a troublesome sign if you're an umpire, as the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes to the batter Kazmarek. So the 2-0 delivery is in there for a swinging strike. As we take a look at what's happening on the farm, Warren JV Baseball was able to come away with a touchdown win over Lake Zurich 7-0 as Kazmarek lines one foul down the third base line. As they only played... It looks like they only played 4 innings. Jack Wolf was the starting pitcher. 3 innings, no hits, and 6 tickets punched with 2 walks. So the JV team won and threw a no-hitter, but only played 3 innings. So does it count? I'll let you decide. As Kazmarek skies one in the air, deep left field. Over is the new left fielder Schmidt, and he will retire Kazmarek. So in steps the batter Conrad.
Next up, number 9, Ryan Conrad.
So Kazmarek is retired, F7. Conrad reached on his error by the shortstop Shills last time on a ground ball. Is Beardman working out of the stretch? Another ground ball to Shills. We'll try this again, and in back-to-back at-bats, Conrad has grounded to Shills, the shortstop, and Shills he's not even putting his glove on the ground as he goes to make the play. That ball definitely had no business going into left field, but he does. So back-to-back errors Conrad has reached on, as Foley is now into second. So now there are 2 outs and runners in first and second instead of the inning being over. Shills, that is his 3rd error in this 2-game series, as Beardman delivers a fastball just off the plate that'll go in and out of the catcher Hall's glove. As they try to pick off Foley at second base, but not in time, as people are departing the building here at the Almond campus. Definitely starting to see some very bright headlights in the parking lot. So that leads me to believe this 6th inning is all we're going to play. I doubt we play the 7th inning. It's getting awfully hard to see for the Blue Devils. So the count is 2 balls and no strikes to the batter Fleeka, who singled and then was thrown out by Beardman, trying to stretch it into a double as Beardman misses once again to make the count 3 balls and 1 strike. Or 3 balls and no strikes, pardon me. The 3-0 delivery from Beardman is in there on the inner third for a called strike. So 3 balls and 1 strike is the count. This Blue Devils trail 3-1 as the 3-1 delivery is spiked badly by Tommy Beardman, and now the bases are loaded with 2 away for the batter
Next up,
Foley.
number 17, Lucas Foley.
So now steps in the other Foley, Lucas Foley. His brother AJ is now pitching for the Bears. Lucas pitched yesterday. Valparaiso commit. As he steps in with the bases loaded and just 2 away. As Foley is looking for only his 5th RBI of the season. Bears only have 31 RBIs as a team coming into today's game. For comparison, the Blue Devils have 92. So the Blue Devils have scored about 3 times as many runs via the RBI coming into this game, but they have only put up 1. As there's an infield pop-up behind the screen, and that'll get out of play, and ow, that hurt my head as it hit the top of the press box. So the count will now go to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Beardman looking to put down Foley and send this game to what will likely be the final half inning. The 1-2 delivery is skied in the air, third base side, foul territory. Jaquez slides. I don't know if he lost his footing or just slid for fun, but he was still about 10 feet away from the baseball as that ball reaches foul ground, and that'll be a foul ball, just a long strike, and they'll do the 1-2 once again. So Beardman out of the stretch to deliver the 1-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Beardman gets himself into trouble, but now able to work himself out of trouble as we go to the bottom half of the 6th inning, which will likely be the last inning, or maybe not. We'll see, but stick around regardless of what happens. The ending is coming up right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils looking to at least play for a tie right now with the impending darkness, with the overcast skies, as the wind is once again shifted. It is now blowing in from center field, right center, as we have a pinch hitter, which is Cole Clark, as he looks like to me he wore a fastball on the upper left arm, but the home plate umpire didn't see it, so that'll just go as a ball. Clark pinch hitting for the catcher Hall here in the 6th inning. Clark comes into this game batting .265 with 1 home run as he grounds one past the diving Conrad. That ball will get into left field. So Clark is aboard with a base knock. And if I had to guess, he will be lifted for a pinch runner. And he will. It'll be KT Brown.
Jacob Gonzalez.
So Clark does his job and reaches via a hit. He does his job. Brown is now in the lineup in the 8th spot. So KT Brown is now the base runner at first base. Jacob Gonzalez steps in. He is 0 for 2 today, as the wind is definitely now howling. The wind started blowing in from right field, then switched in about the 3rd inning, blowing hard in from left field. And now, as I say that, it looks like the wind is switched once again. The wind is swirling right here at the Almond campus. Has not played as much hazards on fly balls as I would have thought. So Brown the runner at first. Bears playing the bunt as that ball gets away from the catcher O'Donnell, but he is able to get to it quickly. KT Brown does not advance. So that'll be a ball to the batter Gonzalez. Definitely a situation where you want to take until you get a strike. Make Foley make the mistake for you, as the third baseman Conrad is way in on the grass, as that 1-0 delivery is downstairs for a ball to make it 2-0. So Brown with a minuscule lead at first base, about 6 feet, as the 2-0 delivery misses again. 3-0 is the count, and definitely an automatic take situation right here. The 3-0 from Foley to Gonzalez misses upstairs, ball 4.
Next up, number 8, Charlie Benchley.
So Gonzo is aboard with a walk. And it looks like we will have a mound visit. So after we have this mound visit, we'll step aside right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus, as the Beatles' Help is playing in the background after a very lengthy mound visit in order to buy. Number 24, Will Crawford, is starting to throw in the Bears bullpen. Blue Devils threatening here, down a pair with nobody out here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Badgley is up. He squares to bunt, is taken for a ball. Elevated heater by the pitcher Foley, as Conrad, the third baseman, playing now in on the in cut at third base, as the first baseman Shell is playing in the back pocket as he squares and takes again. So that is 6 straight misses for Foley. KT, the pinch runner on second base, who is running for the pinch hitter Clark in the 8th spot, who pinch hit for Jake Hall. Gonzalez reached via the walk. The 2-0 delivery to Badgley is in there for a strike. So Badgley still has the advantage. 2 balls and 1 strike. Definitely a situation where you're only looking for 1 pitch in 1 spot. You are not trying to ground into a double play or make an out, as the 2-1 delivery was not in that spot Badgley was looking for. It is low. 3 balls and now a strike. Definitely, even though it's 3-1, an automatic take situation here. If I'm Badgley, the 3-1, it is an automatic take, and that is outside, ball 4. So now the bases are loaded, and in steps the senior Tony Font, and AJ Foley's day will be over, as Scott DiCaprio will be coming in to make a pitching change. Will Crawford coming on for the Bears. Blue Devils threatening with the bases loaded. Still nobody out here in the 6th inning. Don't change those dials right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils have the bases loaded with no outs here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Glad to have you with us. Nick Palazzolo with you. The new pitcher is Will Crawford. 16 and a 2/3 innings to his name, a 4.62 ERA, as he delivers what seems to be some sort of off-speed pitch in there for a strike. Bears are playing a bunt defense, or a corners in defense. Middles are playing back. The 0-1 delivery to Font is skied into left field, and that'll get down. Brown will score. Gonzalez around third and thought about it, but he will hold up. Tony Font comes through, and the Blue Devils are within a run here in the 6th inning.
21, Adam Shills.
So just a little bit of a duck snort into left field does the job. Still nobody away. Blue Devils within a run, and in steps Shills. Shills grounds one past the diving first baseman Shell. Gonzalez is in. Badgley around third, and he will score. A 2-run single for Adam Shills, and the Blue Devils lead 4-3 here in the 6th inning. In a game where the Blue Devils could not punch runners in when they had them in scoring position, they have scored 3 times here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. The score is now 4-3. Evan Larson steps in as Shills takes a delayed steal for second, and he will just practically walk to second base. So Shills is now at second base. Font is now at third, and Larson is ahead in the count, 1 ball and no strikes as the Lake Zurich Bears bring their infield in. And a fastball buzzes the tower of Larson, and that'll bring the count to 2 balls and no strikes. Larson has been seeing regular plate appearances ever since the first week of conference play as he takes the 2-0 in there for a strike. So 2 balls and no strikes the count. Blue Devils lead 4-3 as Larson lines one past the runner on third. Tony Font had to get out of the way and hit the deck. That ball was coming right for him. So now the count runs to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Larson has reached all 3 times. He has been aboard. The 2-2 delivery, and that hits Larson in the helmet. And that might have got Larson just underneath the helmet as the pitcher Foley goes down to a knee on the mound. And out comes the trainer. Larson appeared to be hit just about that left cheek as some of the foam from his batting helmet came off because of the pitch. So it might be Larson. It might not be running at first base, but Clint Smothers comes sprinting down from the third base coaching box as Larson is now being looked at by the trainer. As it looks like Larson wore part of that on his helmet and then part of that on his the left part of his face. So Larson is going to depart after wearing a pitch to a very scary scene here at the Allman campus. But Larson seems to be in good spirits. So Larson will be replaced by a pinch runner at first base. And it'll be Justin Kretz. Kretz will replace Larson as the pinch runner.
Pinch runner, number 25, Justin Kretz.
So Kretz will replace Larson at first base. All of the Blue Devil teammates on the bench are walking up to Evan Larson on the bench as he receives medical attention. Larson was just hit by a pitch that hit the left cheek area. It looked to have get part of his helmet, but seems to have caught part of somewhere on that left cheek. You see many players wearing those, they call them C-flaps. It seems to be a thing just as of, the last 5 or 7 years or so, where you see more and more players wearing that additional protection right over that cheekbone, just in case of scary instances like that. So we resume play. Tommy Beardman is now the batter as he comes to work with the bases loaded and still nobody away. We take a look to the Lake Zurich bullpen. Josh Marzik is now throwing as the 0-1, as it's a squeeze. And as Font took off for the plate, Beardman got his bat on it, but he fouled it right into the plate umpire's mask. So on back-to-back batters, we have had some kind of baseball hit a different part of a player or official. So the infield still drawn in, no balls and 2 strikes to the batter Beardman. The pitch from Crawford is skied into foul territory, first base side, and that'll get out of play. As Beardman looks down to the third base coaching box, and Clint Smothers is telling Beardman to just kind of keep his chest back because he's kind of lunging out in front. And I noticed that in the 3rd inning when he struck out, he was really out in front. He just needs to keep his chest and keep his hips back and just kind of pull with that left hand and rotate your hips. The 0-2 delivery, as there's a fastball that almost hits Beardman in the helmet. His helmet flies off as Beardman, quite the scary scene. as there is a conference of if that hit Beardman's helmet or not, or did it hit the umpire, as we have now a conference. As it looks like our plate umpire is now bleeding after Tommy Beardman squared around for a squeeze, on a suicide squeeze, and he lined it right into the mask of the plate umpire, and it looks like he had some kind of a napkin or towel or something, and it looks like he is bleeding somewhere near the left eye. So DiCaprio and Smothers, both head coaches of both teams, come over to check on the home plate umpire. As the sun, of course, only in the Midwest can it look like it's going to rain and then not, and then the sun comes up when you really don't need it to. As the trainer here at the Warren Township campus is bringing her little jump bag out to the plate umpire, as we'll step aside for an official injury timeout here on the Blue Devils. Blue Devils are still threatening here in the 6th inning. No outs with the bases loaded. We'll have a 1-2 count right when we return. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. After a slight injury delay, plate umpire had an abrasion of some sort just above his left eyelid that was bleeding. It has now been attended to. The 1-2 strike count to Beardman is swung on and missed for strike 3. Beardman will go down swinging, still only 1 away. Or unless they're claiming Beardman thought that was possibly a foul ball. Yeah, Beardman thought he definitely had a foul ball as that ball hit the bat.
Albert Hawkes.
As there's a little bit of confusion between the umpiring crew of if that was a foul ball or not. As Hawkes steps in, bases are still loaded, so we have 1 away. as there's a fastball by Crawford on the outer third. The 6th inning has definitely been something, and the sun has come out for a little bit, so instead of being called for darkness, we might play the 7th inning. The 0-1 delivery is inside for a ball. 1 ball and 1 strike is the count. Font the runner at third, Schills the runner at second, Kretz the pinch runner at first base for Larson, who is taken out after wearing a fastball to the left part of his face. We are unsure of where that ball exactly got him, as the 2-1 delivery is a called strike. 2 at the knees on the outer third, so the count's even at 2-2. Blue Devils have stormed all the way back from a 3-1 deficit and take the lead 4-3 here in the 6th inning. The 2-2 delivery chopped to the third baseman, Conrad. He comes home with it for the force. So that'll go 5-2 on the force out.
Next up, number 5, Sam Schmidt.
So Font is forced out at the plate. Schills and Kretz both advance. And Jaquez is aboard on the fielder's choice. And now in steps Sam Schmidt. Schmidt is 0 for 2 today with a walk, but has reached base twice on a fielder's choice and the walk. The 0-0 delivery from Crawford is outside for a ball. Blue Devils looking to add some insurance runs. Nobody has been throwing in the Blue Devil bullpen with the long delay, so we expect Tommy Beardman to take the mound for the 7th inning if we do get that far. The 1-0 delivery swung on and missed for a strike to bring the count to 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 delivery is a backdoor curveball that doesn't come in the door. It stays outside, so the count is at 2-1. As the wind has died down a little bit, but still blowing strong in from center. As Schmidt skies one in the air. Left side, foul territory, over is the third baseman, Conrad, and he will make the catch. So the Blue Devils come all the way back, put up a 3-run mark here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. We'll go to the 7th. Blue Devils need 3 outs to win this ball game. Don't change those dials. We'll be back right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Welcome back to the Almond Road campus. Blue Devils trying to hold a 4-3 lead in the 7th inning. Tommy Beardman still on as he fires a fastball that just misses to the batter George DeCanio, who has reached twice and scored as he skies one in the air, center field. Badgley over near right center, and he will make the catch, 1 away.
Next up, number 32, Riley O'Donnell.
Now in steps O'Donnell. Bears are chasing down a run here in the top half of the 7th inning. They scored 2 of their runs in the first inning due to a defensive mishap on a infield single over to the first base side. Blue Devils answered in the bottom half of the 2nd. It was a 2-1 ball game up until the 5th inning. Lake Zurich added a 3rd run in the 5th as the 0-1 delivery is swung on and fouled. Was 3-1 entering the 6th inning, and then the Blue Devils put up 3 runs in the bottom half of the 6th inning after we had 2 injury delays, one to Evan Larson, who wore a fastball to the left side of his helmet and was taken out and has been looked at by the trainer. And then our home plate umpire was bleeding just above the left eye as the 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed, strike 3. O'Donnell goes down swinging, and Jake Hall goes to throw the ball around, and he island hops it to Barons at first base. So 2 quick outs for Beardman here in the 7th inning. In steps the second baseman, Bajurski. The 0-0 delivery is a fastball in there for a strike. Beardman definitely working quick. He is feeling something right now. The 0-1 delivery. He gets the sign, acknowledges the 0-1 is a curveball spiked and is being pinballed around off of Jake Hall, up onto the batter Bajurski, and then back to Jake Hall, where Hall almost pulled off a juggling act. The 1-1 strike count from Beardman to Bajurski is grounded to the third baseman. Jaquez throws on the run. He is not in time, as Barons had to come off the bag and dive into the runner, Bajurski, as Barons is shaking off that left arm as he kind of tripped Bajurski with his left arm, trying to stay on the bag for the ball. So that'll be an infield single. Good play by Jaquez to charge and throw it, but definitely a danger zone if you're a first baseman trying to sell out for the play. So Bajurski's aboard with the hit as in comes Shell as he grounds one to the pitcher, Beardman. He will dash. He will flip onto first base, and the Blue Devils will go home a winner. Blue Devils win this game 4-3.
Your Ward Blue Devils for Lake Zurich.
Blue Devils hand the Lake Zurich Bears their first conference loss on the season.
We look to see you back real soon. Please drive careful and have a great evening.
Blue Devils will be back on Saturday for a doubleheader against Palatine. 11 o'clock first pitch. About 10:55 pregame show right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. Today's winning pitcher is Tommy Beardman. Beardman will now go to 2-0 on the season. A big victory for the Blue Devils as they're able to steal a victory right now from Lake Zurich in a game that shouldn't have been this close, but it was. Blue Devils had stranded multiple runners in multiple innings, but able to pull off the victory. We'll be back on Saturday for Blue Devils against Palatine right here on the Blue Devil Radio Network. I thank you to each and every one of you for listening. This is Nick Palazzolo saying so long, everybody.